Good morning, Year 7, and this morning I'm going to talk you through the next lesson in your analysis of the poem The River by Valerie Bloom. I just wanted to run you through this lesson just so you're very clear on what the expectations are and just to recall how we write our P paragraphs and the key things that you need to be including when you're answering a P paragraph question so that you can ensure that you've included all the key aspects. So, lesson intention is to explore the poem The River by Valerie Bloom, okay? Really nice and simple. And that's going to last the next couple of lessons. And key question, can you justify your impression of the river using P? So yesterday, you analysed the poem and you searched for those keywords for me. So you should start to be having a feeling now of what you think this river is like, if you can justify what you think the personality of the river is through the use of personification, etc. So there you have the poem again. That was on yesterday's slides as well. And I'll just read it through for you. The River by Valerie Bloom. The river's a wanderer, a nomad, a tramp. He doesn't choose one place to set up his camp. The river's a winder through valley and hill. He twists and he turns. He just cannot be still. The river's a hoarder, and he buries down deep those little treasures that he wants to keep. The river's a baby. He gurgles and hums and sounds like he's happily sucking his thumbs. The river's a singer, he dances along, the countryside echoes the notes of his song. The river's a monster, hungry and vexed. He's gobbled up the trees, and he'll swallow you next. So task 1 there is to reread the poem and review your work from yesterday's, or the last 2 lessons really, where you've done your A Lot About a Little and you've done your research of the keywords. So you've got a good knowledge on what your impression is on the poem. Remember, with poetry, there are no wrong or right answers as long as you can justify your interpretation. You must be able to justify your interpretation. Give me good reasons, okay? It's all about your opinion and your response to a poem. So reread your notes. Then you are going to complete 3 P paragraphs. The question is, explore the personality of the river in Valerie Bloom's poems. And what you can do is you can go back to the slides that I gave you for yesterday, where I've given you a model, A Lot About a Little. You completed your own. I've given you those key quotes that you can use. And you've already started this now. So all it's about now, as it always is in the classroom, is you've done your prep. Now you are ready to put it all together. So I've given you a model P paragraph and I've colour-coded it as we do in class. So each colour represents a different part of the steps of success. So explore the personality of the river in Valerie Bloom's poem. At the end of the poem, Bloom presents the river as a villain. This is shown in the quote, "The river's a monster." This quote suggests the river is dark and ominous and not a safe thing to be around. The use of the metaphor monster connotes aggression, danger, and terror, personifying the river as something that can hurt you with a dark side to its personality. Bloom's message was to imply that the river can be beautiful at times, but do not underestimate its power. And what I want you to do in your mind now is I want you to give me a www and an EBI. I've included a lot there, and I have given an interpretation, but there are things off the steps for success that I'm missing. So let's have a look at these steps of success. Okay, as always, we've got our point, our evidence, our explain, our language analysis, our poet's intention, our impact on the reader, and our personal response. And on the right-hand side there, you can see that I've given you some sentence stems that you can use to piece together your P paragraphs. And what I want you to do as a task is I want you to have a look at that steps of success, that success criteria. I want you to refer back to my model and have a look at what I've done well and what I can do better. So you can pause the video at any point and have a good look at what I've done well and what I can do better. Okay, what I've done is I have said at the end of the poem, okay, I've identified where I'm talking about in this poem. I could say stanza 1, stanza 2, at the beginning of the poem, in the middle of the poem, but I'm identifying at what part of the poem I am looking at, showing whoever's reading my response that I have thought about the structure. So at the end of the poem, Bloom presents. So if this is a full P paragraph response, this will probably be my last P paragraph out of 3 because I'm talking about the end of the poem, and I'd probably have already written one about the beginning and one about the middle of my interpretation of the personality of the river in Valerie Bloom's poem. This quote is shown. Okay, I've given some evidence. I've given interpretation. It suggests that it's dark and it's anonymous and not safe to be around, so I've explained what that quote means. And then I've done some language analysis, the use of the metaphor. I've picked out a device I have written what the device is, and I've given further connotations, connotations, aggression, danger, and terror. Remember, we put them in 3 just to give our reader of our response that little bit of the extra of that rule of 3, that triplet. That's my connotations: aggression, danger, terror. Personifying, I'm using that subject terminology even more. The river, okay, it's almost the name of the river, isn't it? Giving it an identity as something that can hurt you with a dark side to its personality. I've got the word personality here, which is also in my question, showing whoever's reading my response, look, I know what I'm writing about. Bloom's message was to imply that the river can be beautiful at times, but not underestimate its power. Okay, so I've tried to see what Bloom's message or intention is. Okay, why has she written this poem? What does she want me to learn or do or listen to? So going back to the steps of success, I've got a point, got some evidence, I've explained myself, I've picked out a piece of language analysis, okay? I didn't use adjective, adverb, aggressive verb personification that I've pointed you in the direction of, but I did say about the metaphor and what that connotes for me. I've written about Bloom's intention or message, but I didn't write about the impact on the reader, and I didn't give my opinion. So there are 2 things that I could do better in my EBI, which is absolutely fine, okay? And next time I know that I need to be doing those 2 things in my steps of success in the next PEEE paragraph that I write. Okay, so I've given you some support quotes that you could use for your PEEs, okay? I know you've already done a lot about a littles in the previous lesson, but just again to give you that little bit of extra support, there's some appropriate quotes that you could use in your PEEE paragraph. Okay, recap. Can you justify your impression of the river? Okay, you've started that in the last 2 lessons. I've given you a reading of the poem, and I've told you to reread your notes from the last 2 lessons. There's your question, and you're going to complete 3 PEEE paragraphs in response. There's your model that I've spoken you through and colour-coded, just like we do in class. There's your steps of success that I have followed as well. And there are some quotes to support that you can absolutely use in PEEE paragraphs of your own. Keep referring back to the steps of success so that you know that you've included everything you possibly can, and you've got stem sentences there to help you. Okay, Year 7, I have got absolute confidence that you can complete this task very, very well, because I know you've done it so many times in class before. I'm really impressed with the work that I've had submitted so far. Keep it going, keep working hard, and I can't wait to read your responses. Thank you, Year 7.